want to thank Kevin for coming out personally. My name is Robert Pena, and when we saw certain people out at a certain racetrack in this certain town doing some bad things to our own Texan world champion right here, Kevin Schwantz, we decided to throw a couple different events. Number one is on the 21st on race weekend. We're actually going to be showing the MotoGP race in Austin, but right here, okay? For those of you who are like, well, screw the track because they screwed over our guy, right? We'll talk about that in a little bit, what's going on with that. And then the other thing is they're going to be running the races all season long. They're going to be running the races right here at Gypsy Lounge. And we think that's really cool. They got a great parking lot set up for motorcycle parking only every time they do that. So that's super cool. And we thought, what a better way to kick it off than at Qatar. We invited Kevin. He said yes. So this is the official Show Us Your Schwantz party. What do you think? So I hope you dig that. Like our product placement. You get that on the camera there? This is the Free Kevin Network reporting live from Austin, Texas. First off, Kevin, thanks very much for coming out, man. We appreciate it. And I want to get off of our chest real quick. There's legal issues going on between you and Circuit of the Americas, which is the last time I'll say the name of the track. And tell us a little bit from your perspective what's going on. There's legal stuff that you can't talk about, obviously, we know that, but we would rather hear it from you than hear it from anybody else.
I had a big deposition all day Wednesday with what we know as racers is correct and what they think is correct is it's a couple different things. So I really appreciate all the support, and a jury's going to get to decide this thing, and we'll just see what they think.
Well, I tell you, at the Free Kevin movement, what we're really want to see is that the racetrack realize that, okay, business and a legal case is a legal case, but when it comes to racing and it comes to respecting our champions, particularly in Texas, particularly this man right here, that's what champions deserve at a racetrack in Austin, Texas. Do you guys agree to that? So in support of that, what we're asking for all the fans out there, no matter who you are rooting for on the racetrack, that for one of the 3 days, if you're going out there, if you bought tickets and you're already committed, we understand that. We've got tickets too, right? I'm going to go out there on Friday and Saturday, but I'm going to be wearing either a Free Kevin shirt, I'm going to be wearing my Schwantz logo gear out at the track, because I want that number 34 floating around the racetrack where it's undeniable that there's support from this community for this guy right here for doing all the work that he's done, okay? So that's what we're asking for in the Free Kevin movement, is that race weekend coming up in a couple of weeks, that you guys are wearing your Schwantz gear, you're out at the racetrack, you're all around Austin, and you're showing support. So let's talk a little bit, Kevin, about your racing career. We got to watch the race at Suzuka, one of the epic battles out there, and tell us, in your career, championship in '93 must have been the highlight, but as far as some individual races and some battles that you had out there, I know you have some great stories about that. Maybe you can tell us one or two of your favorite stories from the racing days.
Any Grand Prix that I ever won, and almost any of them that I ever competed in are Grand Prix that I remember just about every lap of, just about every turn. Some of them I don't want to remember the result, but I do. I choose to do that as well. But, the toughest competitor I ever had was Wayne Rainey by far. He'd make the Yamaha go to the front, whether it was good enough to be there or not. And he might actually give up a little bit right at the end. You might be able to beat him. But when I said give up, I think they'd give up on the setup, on the motorcycle itself. Wayne would never give up. But, probably the best story that ever gets told is when I outbroke him in Germany, and then 2 weeks later we raced in Assen and going into the last turn. I was nowhere, I was 15 or 20 bike lengths behind him. He was convinced I was going to try and do the same thing I'd done the weekend before, and he outbroke himself and rode into the grass. He will tell you that's his worst day ever. worst day ever. And I probably didn't help that much when we got to the press conference, and of course, first question, Wayne, what happened in the last turn? And Wayne, of course, had the microphone at the time, and I said, answer that question for you. I think that all happened a couple of weeks ago. And it's, with the exception of when we first met, it's the closest we ever came to fight.
There you go. Now tell us, you just watched the Qatar opening round, and we're all fans of GP, no matter what era. Marquette, what a performance out of that kid! Holy cow, man! Huh? And then the doctor coming back, showing he's still got it going on. He's on the blue bike this season. What can you give us? I mean, we just watched the first. I got goosebumps, man. We just watched the first race. It was epic and awesome. Tell us maybe some. Am I so bold as to ask for a prediction, or tell us who's strong this year?
Well, I think we saw the 99 and show why he's a multi-time world champion. Jorge Lorenzo was the class of the field. The only problem he's got is if the 46 gets to start beside him next race, and he doesn't make a mistake early on. But it's been a while since Valentino's played at that level, and I think that's why the mistake came about. He thought, I can do anything with these guys, and he proved at the end that he just about could. But I think Marquez is going to be a kid to watch all season long. I think he may be he'll be one of those guys that keeps Lorenzo on his toes. And Valentino's just going to continue to, whether he needs to mature or not, but he's going to continue to get better on that Yamaha. And, he's going to win some Grand Prix. Whether he can find the level of competition every weekend that he needs to be able to compete with a Marquez or a Pedrosa or a Lorenzo is yet to be seen. But it'd be silly to bet against it, I think.
And on the Americans in the field, I mean, Ben fell down yesterday, right? And Colin's on the CRT thing, doing the best he can. Nicky's doing his bit. What's your feeling on the Americans being able to compete on the world stage?
We just need to hope Ducati really figures something out quick, because we're very vested in Ducati as far as performance on an American basis goes. But it's a work in progress. It was good for me to see that Dovizioso didn't dominate Nicky as bad as he did in practice and qualifying, but in the race they were right just like that, which is exactly how Rossi and Nicky raced him last year. So I don't think it doesn't show that Dovizioso is that much better of a rider than Nicky, and I think it'll keep Nicky motivated all year. And once the Ducati factory guys figure it out, our boy Speeds and his teammate Ian Noni are just going to start to benefit from that even more. So, and Colin, I saw, had gotten into the points and then ended up, I think, not finishing.
Yeah.
So that's always a disappointment, because with 3 rounds in America, we need an American contingent fighting for the win. And not just in MotoGP, but Moto2, Moto3. I mean, there's a lot of work that needs to be done in Grand Prix racing to make it to be able to support 3 races in America, but I think I got some ideas that would help.
Good. Right? So let's talk a little bit about where Moto2 and Moto3. Now, for those of you not familiar with some of the new categories that change around the engine configurations, I'd like to have you talk about that a little bit, if you would. But how are we going to feed more Americans into the series? Where are these Americans going to come from?
Well, it's it was always in the past. It was always something that the manufacturers here in the United States, whether it was Honda, whether it was Suzuki, Yamaha, Kawasaki, whoever it might be, they always supported the youth. When they saw a really good kid here in the United States competing, they'd always support them to send them over to get on a 250 or 125 or a 500cc Grand Prix bike, which is exactly what American Suzuki did when I rode for it. What we need is we need more excitement about the American Championship. Our American Championship, the American Superbike Championship used to be where, when they needed somebody to fill a seat in the Grand Prix on a Grand Prix bike, that was the first place they looked. Nowadays they look about 3 other series before they look here. And it's, a lot of it's got to do with the economy, but a lot of it's got to do with our friends at DMG and the shortage of support that they continue to give to the two-wheel sport that we all so dearly love. But we've got to get our kids and find a way to get them to Europe. I think we have plenty of talented kids. I coached the Red Bull Rookies Cup kids in 2008 here in the United States. And some of those kids are doing great. They're winning 600 super sport races. They're winning Daytona sport bike stuff. They're going on and riding super bikes and doing well. But you know that next step is one where you really need some support from the factory, from the manufacturers. Until we get the excitement back involved in AMA DMG races, that's never going to happen. So, you know, whether it comes from the facilities that are holding the races here in America, that need to start supporting more youth programs and be able to give kids opportunities to go ride, or whether it's a race or two, whether it's one or two wildcat rides here in the U.S. We've got to start getting those out there, because as of right now, we've got 2 kids in Red Bull Rookie Cup, and we got our 3 guys in MotoGP. Otherwise, no World Superbike, no World Supersport, no World Superstop, no Moto3, no Moto2, no nothing on the international level. So, you know, it was one of the things that I really had planned on doing by promoting this race here in Austin, was to use some of the funding to be able to get that Stars and Stripes back wave over there, because that's what we all need to see.
So that's a big thing, and I think that as a community of riders, we can support that through going to AMA races, to being vocal through the various outlets that we have, through Cycle News Magazine, through Road Racing World Magazine, Superbike Planet, all these different ways of making sure that people know that there's a support base out there. Honest to God, if you sit on your thumbs and nothing happens, it's your own damn fault, right? Right. So speak up. Make sure you're wearing the colors of your favorite racers, but make sure there's an American flag on there somewhere, and you're pushing people to support the sport. You know, do the group ride out to the AMA race out in New Orleans when that one comes back, or you know, I mean, there's different ways to do that. Let's talk a little bit about rider training and some of what you do through the Schwantz School, and then you assist. I think you were at the Pridmore School a little while ago, right? And I think Gil showed up out there, and she had a nice bottle of champagne for you, welcoming you to the Laguna Seca racetrack. Nice play by them, I think. You know? So talk a little bit about some of your training program. There's a lot of folks that have sport bikes parked out in the lot out there, and from your opinion, just from a pure training basis, regardless of the type of bike, what's the most important sort of skill set, and what's the core thing that you want to teach to this Schwantz School?
If there's one thing that's the most important, it's the visual aspect of it. It's so easy for us to get on a motorcycle, start going faster, instead of looking further in front, we look closer down in front. And now we're having to react to anything that happens instead of anticipated. So whether it's on the racetrack, whether it's on 6th Street, going back home, whether on 183, wherever it might be, the visual awareness aspect of it is something that is the most difficult to teach. And that's why we do teach on the racetrack. But I'm not teaching everybody to try and be the next, I'm going to say Valentino Rossi today. That was a ride that needed no coaching. You know, we teach you on the track because we can control that 1.5 miles, 2.5, whatever size of the track. We can control that pavement, and we can get you in to test yourself and try yourself. Because it's that into a corner, I'm in a little fast, oh, I'm going to panic. And we all do the same thing. I do it. I yell at myself when I do it. We look where we don't want to go. We look at what the danger area is, and that's where we're going to end up. We got to continue to look where we want to go. We got to trust our skill set. We got to be able to process what it is that we're looking at that's causing us to panic. But that panic thing is something that on the public roads, sometimes you might only get one chance to not panic. You know, and that's what we hope to teach at the Schwantz School, and stuff that we can use on the road to become better, safer motorcyclists too. And we do it as a community, because I think a lot of times we all get that really bad rap because of the one guy that's doing the stand-up wheelie down Mopac, or the stocky through the middle of the light. You know, we got to respect each other.
That guy may be here, by the way, but
that's fine. That's why I'm trying to sell school right now.
I'm always a little jealous, you know, frankly, but I'll never be that guy. So anyway, the last time I interviewed you was out at the Harvest Classic. How many Harvest Classic fans? You guys promise you're going to come out, support the community again. Harvest Classic coming up again later on this fall, but you're at the Harvest Classic, and I videotaped you riding your trials bike around. And when we think Schwantz, we think, well, speed, hauling ass, that's some, you know, and you're on the trials course, and I got a shot of you where you screwed up and you put your foot down, and you look like you just lost the world championship right in that one moment, right there. You know, and so tell us a little bit about the trials background, because that's really where you started, and that goes a lot to control and balance and the finer elements of riding.
Yeah, and just one quick thing. I grew up around the motorcycle dealership. My mom, my dad, my uncle owned a Yamaha shop when I grew up in Houston. So when I speak of us as motorcyclists getting pointed fingers at about, you know, unsafe or crazy or many other words that I've heard that just describe riding a motorcycle, but it was going to my friend's house, meeting their parents, and their parents would go, "Oh, Kim's parents on the motorcycle team." It's like there's something wrong with us. Well, yeah, there is, but you just need to figure out what's wrong with us and come join us, because it really is good. And trials bike riding, just so long as everybody knows, riding over rocks and logs, going really, really slow, and that was some of the first competition I ever rode. And I honestly think it's a really good way to learn all the skills you need to be able to control a motorcycle, whether it's the front sliding, whether it's back end moving. There's so many things that you can do going really, really slow. It teaches you that to steer that motorcycle, you don't necessarily use the handlebars, you use those foot pegs. And the foot pegs are by far the easiest way to increase traction when you're riding, whether you're on the street, whether you're on a dirt track, or whether you're on a supermoto bike, whatever it might be that you're riding. Those foot pegs and that outside foot peg pressure is one of the most important things that there is out there to stop that bike sliding in the rear. And I think all the different riding that I did as a kid and some of the different racing is what helped me be as good of a motorcycle racer, Grand Prix racer as I was, because when it started sliding around, everybody else started slowing down, and I was like, man, I know what to do to make this thing go faster now. So, you know, it's all stuff that we teach at the Schwantz School, and that's why most of our schools are 2-day programs, because it takes me a long time to try and teach you everything I've learned, because I started riding when I was 3, 45 years ago.
That was some slow math there, man. The truth factor was really coming out. There's Uncle Daryl right there. Come on up here, Uncle Daryl. And in case you're wondering, it's his uncle, not mine, right? So Uncle Daryl, tell us a little bit about, as Kevin is a wee, yeah, you just have a seat, chill out. As a wee 3-year-old riding around the dealership and making trouble, but I want to hear some of the Austin Aquafest stories, right? Because you guys raced Aquafest, is that right?
Oh yeah.
Right here in town. And how many of you guys know what Aquafest used to be, huh?
Yeah.
A little chorus of hands out there. Okay, for those of you who didn't, there used to be motorcycle racing on the streets in downtown Austin. How cool is that? Yeah, it does. It's just cool stuff, right? So tell us a little bit about little Kevin out here coming out and racing around the curves and doing his own little TT race, as it were.
Well, Kevin was a self-taught person riding, and the trials that he was just talking about, I think, is a really big factor in making him have the knowledge and the experience that he had. And I think Mick Andrews, who was world champion back in the 70s a couple of times riding an OSA, and we sold OSA trials bikes at our shop also. I think he taught Kevin a lot, and I think that factor of foot peg pressure is a big factor, dirt tracking or road racing or anything. And I think it's something that a lot of road racers don't have, because if they've never ridden any dirt or any trials, they don't understand that until somebody really shows them. And some of the things Kevin did were, off the wall, and we had to almost go get him out of jail or what have you. But we had a good relationship in Houston, in Spring Branch, where our dealership was for 50 years. We were a Yamaha dealer, and we were the first Yamaha dealer in Houston, and we weren't the last, but somebody wanted it worse than we did, so we sold it and retired in 05. But he was known to have some problems with concrete, sidewalks and bicycles. And back in the warehouse when he was a little bitty, he decided to spray paint somebody's lawnmowers and bicycles and motorcycles and whatever. And of course, he got a good beating for that. But and when he went back there, he was mad at the can of paint. So he took a sledgehammer and of course, next move, he was coming back into the shop, into the office, mother, and he was solid black. And the can of paint had painted him. So there's lots of good stories, but Kevin really did a good job, and he was really a self-taught person. He learned almost all the stuff on his own, except for some of the stuff that Nick Andrews and some of the really knowledgeable people taught him.
So, just for clarification purposes, you're not in a lawsuit with the certain racetrack here in this great state like Austin, are you?
Not yet.
And speaking as Uncle Daryl, what is your opinion of the situation, and what's the right way to approach the situation, as it were? Speaking as Uncle Daryl, specifically as Uncle Daryl, not as Kevin Klein.
Well, we can't talk about it too much because being family and anything that might not need to be out there at this point is very difficult. But big money men are hard some bitches to deal with. And they think they should own the world. And truthfully, they really need to get their head out of their ass and when Kevin told me he was bringing the GP to Texas to Austin, because him and Tavo were very good friends, and Kevin had started working on it a long time ago. And I said, well, okay, here's something I want to do. I said, I would like to be in charge of ticket sales, because the Texas Motorcycle Dealers Association would like to have tickets in every dealer that's a member of TMDA in the state selling tickets. And I said, it'll cost you a little money, but I said, it'll actually be a good promotion, because then we can tie the GP race to every track, every shop owner in every town. Or maybe like in Houston, we have 25 dealers in Houston: Honda, Yamaha, Kawasaki, Suzuki, Harley, Ducati, so on. And those dealers, I controlled the tickets for the Supercross in Houston, Texas for 20 years with all those dealers. Well, Pace Management was owned by Alan Becker, who was a good friend of mine. We sold tickets, and in turn, he paid us a percentage. Well, it was good for Alan, because if something happened to happen the day of the Supercross or the World Crisis or whatever, we had 50,000 tickets sold for that event prior. So that's what I wanted to do for the GP also, but that's not going to happen either. I wouldn't do it for them if they asked me or if they paid me.
Right, I think the point that you're bringing up is that actually motorcycling is a way smaller community than car guys, and we all talk to each other and we all hang out, and we all know that if the hand comes out and is extended to Kevin the way it should be properly, then we'll begin to promote the race right here in Austin. We'll begin to get our out-of-state friends to come in, right? And we'll say, you can come crash on the couch or whatever. You can come do that, and invite the people right out here to this great town that we're all so proud of, and invite them out to the race, right?
I think so. I mean, to me, the motorcycle community is a much tighter niche group than what the car people are. And I like the car races too. I'm an NASCAR fan. I started telling the AMA back in dirt track, because I dirt track raced back in the 60s and 70s. And I told the AMA, I said, we need a yellow flag. They said, what? I said, why do you think somebody sits down and watches a 500-mile race? Because the lead changes and whatever every time the yellow flag comes out. I mean, we got a possibility of a guy that's 5 laps down that wins the race time the end gets here. And I said, it's not that exact circumstance won't work on a 20-lap motorcycle race, but we need something to be able to get our event on TV and keep a fan that might not be an avid motorcycle person like all of y'all interested in watching that race. And it's got to be a close race. It can't be somebody running late. Because if we're the guy leading, we want to lead. And we don't want anybody close to it, because then we don't have to worry about anybody passing us. But for TV and for fans and for ever-loving dollars, which is what it takes to make it work, that's what you got to have.
Well, that's a lot of practical, smart thought from Uncle Daryl. What do you think? Come on up here, Kev. I want you guys to put your hands together for, if you would, Mr. Kevin Schwantz right here. So Uncle Daryl. everybody coming out, we want to thank you right here at the Gypsy Lounge. Once again, if you've got one goosebump on your body, you realize that you can shake the hand of a world champion despite several busted bones in the wrist. You can go ahead and shake his hand, right? I think your bone count in your body's actually gone down because of the number of bones that are fused together. Yeah, it's been reduced a bit. But Kevin's got some official Schwantz gear here. Once again, we got these awesome free Kevin t-shirts. How about that, right? So we got the white ones here, the that's the Simoncelli Foundation, Marco Simoncelli Foundation. You guys want to talk a little bit about Marco? You want to hear that? Yeah. Okay, because I want to keep that going just a little bit. We're supposed to do a quick interview, but I don't care. We're going to go a little longer. So, Marco, back in when he was still around, he was compared a lot to you in terms of style and aggressiveness. But as it turns out, you were actually his hero. You met through racing, and tell us a little bit about your relationship with Marco Simoncelli.
Yeah, he was just a good guy.
We miss him.
So, and I know we miss the guy like all the time, right? And you watch racers out there, and you're looking for that personality, and I think that's what that guy brought. Above and beyond the skill, he brought that personality, man. You just couldn't see that guy and not go like, God, I want to hang out with that guy. He's cool. So when I got in touch with Kevin, and we said, all right, we want to do these shirts, and we want to sell them for $20, but we'd like the proceeds to go to whatever foundation or whatever charity you want. Right off the bat, you guys said the Marco Simoncelli Foundation. That's an Italian-based charity organization that's run by his father. And why don't you tell us a little bit about what they do and kind of their mission?
You know, I wish I knew more about it. Marco's girlfriend is pretty much the one that's in charge of it. My understanding is it's to do everything they can to try and help continue to promote motorcycle racing. Whether it's through the youth programs, whatever it might be. But I think Marco was the future of what we just watched on TV. It's just a shame it's not there.
Right. So that's the first thing he said was that's why we're standing behind Simoncelli Foundation. I saw a lot of Simoncelli t-shirts and hats and stuff out there, so I know there's some fans out there. So once again, we got the official Kevin Schwantz gear over here. The free Kevin shirts, all the proceeds go to the Simoncelli Foundation for that. Those are $20 a pop. All the gear over here is being sold at a discount because we're right here in town, and I wanted to make it easy for y'all. So once again, thank you very much to Kevin Schwantz. Thank you very much to the Gypsy Lounge. Thank you guys for coming out. We're going to be here every weekend for MotoGP, right here at the Gypsy Lounge. Ride in, watch the race. Thank you very much, folks.
And a little hitch in the giddy up, actually. MotoGP.com is not making the Moto 2 or 3 race available for streaming until 7 o'clock tonight. So, let's get drunk! Yeah, we're kind of ahead. The good news is we don't want the party to stop, so we're going to show highlights from the 93 season on ATVs, unless anybody absolutely has to have anything else they want to see that they know is on GP.com.
Marco Bassini.
So, but for now we're just going to show highlights from the 93 season. For the rest of the year, we are going to show the races at 3, 4, and 5, Moto 3 at 3, Moto 2 at 4, GP at 5. Hopefully we don't run into any hitches with Dora controlling the TV stream, so we'll go from there. Thanks everybody for coming out.